Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to revive my YouTube channel about my Corgis. I renamed it from the Corgi Dad to Corgi Shenanigans because a lot of changes have happened over the last couple of years since I made my last video. So in this video I'm going to introduce to you every single Corgi that I have, what the differences are and what I have planned for this channel going forward. Okay, let me start with my very first Corgi. So this is Mocha, and Mocha was a Christmas gift for Christmas 2018. He is a cardigan Corgi, so he's larger than the typical Pembroke. So he's a bigger head, bigger overall body. They also usually keep the tails with the dogs. And yeah, so that was an unexpected Christmas gift, but he has been absolutely amazing. Probably my favorite dog. You know, very loving, very nice dog. And yeah, as you can see, he has grown a lot since my last video from about 4 years ago. And yeah, so I had him for about 6 months. And during that time, I was actually working out of an office really far away. So I had to get up early in the morning, come back late at night. So he was really, lonely and started to get into some trouble, chewing on furniture and stuff. So yeah, when that happened, I decided to get him a friend, a female Corgi, which I will introduce to you next. And having two dogs really made a big difference, especially when you're somebody who is far away for a long time. And yeah, let me show you what she looks like. Okay, so this is Minty, and Minty is also a cardigan Corgi, a female. And I did make a video of her when I picked her up at the San Diego airport. She came all the way from Michigan. That is because it was really difficult to find a cardigan Corgi. So almost all of the Corgis that you see online are Pembrokes. So again, a little bit larger than your normal Corgi with the tail intact. And she, out of all my Corgis, she is the dominant one. So she's kind of the one that keeps everyone in check. So if there are any fights breaking out, she's the one that jumps in and stops them. So she's basically, a peacekeeper among the herd that I have. And she's also the one that initiates most of the playing. So she likes to grab these brooms and, drops them in front of my feet and wants me to play. And once that happens, all the other ones get all hyped up and they all want to play together. But yeah, very, very loving dog. Very nice dog. A very jealous dog. So when I had, a litter of puppies that I will show you later, she was jealous and sometimes even straight out mean. I had to separate her from the rest. So, but this has all come down. Everything is fine now. This coloration, the tri-coloration, is the one that sheds a lot more than the tan one of Mocha. So if you're interested in a Corgi and you have to decide between the two most dominant colors, if you don't want to deal with shedding, get a tan one, because the tricolor is by far way more produces way more hair than the tans. So yeah, let me show you the next two dogs actually, because after I had Minty, so 6 months after Mocha, it took about a year when I thought, I'm working from home and, two dogs is fine, but what if I, expand the herd a little bit and get two more? So I got two more puppies on the same day, actually, in February of 2021. And yeah, I get them both from the same breeder. They have different mothers, but the same dad. One in tan and one in tri, a boy and a girl. And ever since I had them added to the family, things became a lot more interesting. So let me introduce you those two dogs now. Okay, so next we have Maple and we have Muffin. So another girl, another boy. And as you can see, they are smaller and they also don't have their tail. So these are the Pembroke Corgis, the ones that you find everywhere available for sale. And yeah, a lot of things changed once I had these two added to the family, mainly because you have two females and two males, and none of them were fixed at the time. So you do have some, aggression between the females and also between the males. And between the females, this only happens actually when they play with their toys, and they do a tug of war. So sometimes they can get into really, really nasty fights, and then I have to separate them as much as I can. And with the boys, this usually only happens when you have a female in heat. Then you have some competition going on and some marking in the house that you can sometimes have to deal with. But you can address all that, and I will cover how I'm approaching this. But yeah, so with these two, a lot of things changed. It was a lot easier for me to leave the house for extended periods of time because they just play with each other. And yeah, it's very, very loving, very attached dogs. So yeah, what happened next was that Maple became pregnant, and that was in 2023, actually on my birthday in June. So she had a litter of 10 puppies. Unfortunately, the last two were born lifeless, and I was not able to revive them. And one more puppy unfortunately passed about 2 days later because he had something called a cleft palate, which is basically a hole in their upper back of their jaw. And what that means is they're not able to form a sucking motion, position with their mouth. So they were not able. He wasn't able to drink milk. And by the time I noticed that, I went with him to the emergency. When they told me, it was too late. I tried to, tube feed him, but unfortunately the tube feeding kit came 1 day too late from Amazon, and he didn't make it. So unfortunately, this puppy died, and I did have him cremated. His box was next to my bed, so that was very, very hard for me. So yeah, of that litter of 7 puppies now, I decided to keep 2 of them, and that is because one of them is a male that is just absolutely stunning in coloration in his eyes. So if you look at her eyes are a little bit. It looked like she has mascara around her eyes, so it looks very pretty. And when you have a boy, he looks kind of like a metrosexual, if you want to say that. So a very pretty boy. That's why I kept him. And I also kept a female because she was the runt of the litter. She was the dog that everyone picked on, everyone hated on. And I have a soft spot for rejected animals, disadvantaged animals. So I will introduce them to you next, and I hope you like it so far. Okay, so this is Bo, and Bo is a very skittish dog. So even though he's over a year old, he's the only one that does not use the doggy door. He just sits in front of the entrance of the kitchen and barks and wants me to let him in. So that's the only thing that's kind of annoying, but he is, a very, very nice, very loving dog. So very alert. He's the one that will bark first when he hears anything. Very, like I said, very skittish, very shy still, and, doesn't warm up to people much except for myself. And, as you can see, his eyes, pretty eyes, mascara-looking eyes. And as you can see, even though he is a pure Pembroke, because his parents are the 2 dogs I showed you earlier, Maple and Muffin. And so he's a Pembroke, and as you can see, I decided to not dock the tails because I believe this is just very cruel. And for me, the tail is such an important communication tool that dogs have. So you can see if he's excited, he wags his tail. If he's scared, the tail will, be in the drop position. It's just very, very, very important tool for me. So with Maple and Muffin, who don't have their tails, it's sometimes hard for me to read their emotions because of that. And sometimes, I rely on the other dogs to tell me what's wrong with them. So that's the good thing about having a herd of dogs, that if something is wrong and one dog is not able to clearly communicate because they don't have a tail, the other ones will, with their tail, will be able to let me know, because they all usually feel something similar. So they're either all scared or all excited, So it's very helpful to have a dog when they with the tail. So that's why I kept it on, and I think he looks absolutely beautiful with the tail. Looks like a fox. Very nice dog, very loving. But he is a male. So because he's so beautiful, I named him Bo. And him being a third male in the herd sometimes also causes some problems, some fighting over the females, and but he is not super aggressive. So when he's scared, he actually starts barking, making himself look big and trying to intimidate. But he really is actually scared, and the barking is basically just him pretending to be strong, but really deep down he wants the other dog to go away. And I know that, of course. So as soon as I pet him, he's calms down almost right away. So he's still very skittish, but I hope that this will go slowly away as he gets older. And he's super hyper. He really benefits of hikes that I do with 3 or 4 at a time when I take my my SUV. So now let me show you the second dog that I kept from the litter of Maple and Muffin. And that is the dog that is very close to my heart, because she is the one dog, the runt of the litter, that got picked on by everyone, and felt really, really bad for her. And she's, absolutely an amazing dog. Okay, so this is Cindy. And Cindy is the dog that was the runt of the litter. Everyone picked on her. She got into all kinds of fights with her siblings. She sustained some, smaller injuries on her face, like the fur between her eyes was gone, and I just felt really bad. And whenever I see that, I just feel terrible. So I could have easily rehomed her, despite that. I could have waited for everything to heal up, because she had a sister that looked just like her and was, scooped up right away. But, because she was, picked on and, being bullied, I wanted to make sure she has the best life, possible. So I decided to keep her. Unfortunately, what happened was she got pregnant herself right with the first heat cycle. So after being only 7 months old. And I tried everything I can to separate from the rest, because I was going to have her spayed after the first heat cycle for health reasons. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. So she got pregnant right away. And what happened was that there was complications with her pregnancy. She was pregnant with 4 puppies, but the first one in line to be delivered kind of was stuck. And she needed an emergency C-section, so that is an operation for a very young dog, a big operation. And the puppy that was stuck, he had to be put down because of a broken jaw. He wasn't able to get fed and have a normal life. But the other 3 puppies, they were fine. So and because of her very complicated pregnancy, I decided to then have her spayed as soon as possible, as soon as she's healed up. So meaning she needed a second surgery. So usually when a doctor spays a dog, what they do is they try to do, when they do a C-section, what they try to do is they try to also spay at the same time. But I didn't want to do that, because the spay that I wanted to be done on my dogs is called the ovary sparing spay. Which is not something that they were able to do. And I will get into this in detail in another video, but basically in ovary sparing space, what the name implies. So they leave the ovaries, and the reason they do that is because the ovaries are what produces the hormone, the estrogen. And the problem with having a full spay done is that it causes an imbalance in the body's hormone cycle, because we have an organ completely removed. that is producing a hormone. So other organs in the body try to make up the difference and overproduce. And if this happens through the entirety of their life, this hormonal imbalance in their bodies, that causes other issues. So yeah, unfortunately, she had to endure a second surgery. But ever since then, she's been absolutely amazing. She's a very, very jealous dog, meaning she's very, very attached to me. Constantly still gets into fights with the other dogs about, attention from me. But yeah, I mean, and with her also, being a Pembroke Corgi and having her tail, that was, a really, really important decision. Her tail is such an important tool for communication. She, is always either excited, or wants to play, and her tail wagging, is really, really something that it really helps me to read her emotions. So yeah, she's just absolutely, precious, a very, very loving dog. So yeah, so the next dog I'm going to introduce you to is from the second litter of Maple and Muffin. And that is a litter that had 9 corgis. So no deaths or anything, just 9, all healthy. And usually when you have a litter of dogs and you rehome them, everything is fine until you get to the last litter. The last puppy. So everyone, nobody wants to adopt the last one because everyone thinks that something must be wrong with it because it's the last one. So eventually what happened, nobody wanted to take that dog, and I'm not putting a dog in a shelter, a dog that I took care of right from they were born all the way till 3-4 months old. So I decided to keep that one, and this is the dog I will introduce you next. Okay, Corgi number 7. So this is Julie. And I said earlier that Julie is a puppy of a litter from Maple and Muffin, but the dad is actually Mocha, my very first dog. And you can tell because she is substantially bigger. So she has the genes of a cardigan Corgi, and which is great because I think the cardigans are, very cool because they're just bigger and you have more to cuddle with, more to play with. But yeah, so Julie, like I mentioned earlier, was the last dog of her litter, and that is the only reason why nobody wanted her. But she's a very loving dog. And so yeah, what happened with Julie was similar to what happened with Cindy. I tried to avoid a pregnancy right with the first heat cycle, but wasn't successful, unfortunately. And she got pregnant as well. And that was just a couple of weeks ago when she had her puppies. And similar with Cindy, there was a complication. She only had 2 puppies, and but the same problem where the first one was just stuck in the body, and unfortunately that one was actually born dead. And but the second puppy made it just fine and is doing very well. And I'm going to be actually covering a separate video series regarding a pregnancy of a dog when there's only 1 puppy, because there is a substantial difference between having just 1 or having like 10, you know what I mean? So anything from socialization issues to feeding, the mother not producing enough milk. So there's some things that I want to share with everyone in case you are dealing with the same problem. But yeah, so Julie, nice big dog. Looks very just like Mocha, and they're actually very close. Actually, they just play with each other the most. So because they just, they look similar, they know they're of the same type of Corgi. So yeah, let me show you the very last one. Okay, and this is the last and final Corgi. So this is the puppy that Julie just delivered. And as you can tell, looks very, very unique. So she has black eyes, black ears, white forehead, and tan coloration for the rest, and a white tip on the tail. So she just opened her eyes a couple days ago, and yeah, because she's an only puppy, that means it would be very difficult to rehome her. And there may be issues with socialization because she's just by herself. But this is only for a couple more days. So I am going to put her in the kitchen in a fenced area to be closer to the other dogs for socialization purposes. Getting used to each other already, and they actually haven't met yet, so this is something I'm going to film as well to basically see their reactions. And yeah, I just have to wait till she gets her first shots, because right now she's completely vulnerable because she's completely unvaccinated. And this also means that I'm no longer going on walks with the other dogs or hiking, because I do not want them to pick something up and bring it home, and then this puppy gets sick and may pass away. So I have to be very careful about that. But yeah, I am not sure what I'm going to name her. I was thinking about the name Leia, like Princess Leia from Star Wars, but still thinking about that. Or may still think about rehoming, but we'll see. When Cindy had her 3 puppies, you could really tell that she was very sad when they were rehomed one after another. And with Julie having only this puppy here, I'm suspecting that they're actually going to be forming an even stronger bond. So it may not even be possible to rehome this one, because Julie could just go on a hunger strike for a while, or would just be very sad, and I don't want to see that. So maybe I need to be a little bit tougher, but if I can afford it, why not? That would be Corgi number 8. And all my Corgis, they have health insurance. All Corgis are being fed on a raw diet. So I make my own dog food, and I will also cover, what that entails. And yeah, so I do take the best care of them as I can, and I'm not sure somebody else would be able to do that. So that's why I very likely will keep this one as well. And then I will have Julie spayed, and yeah, and Maple is spayed, Minty is spayed. So only Julie, who just had this puppy, and this puppy being a female, these are the only 2 left to be spayed. And my doctor is actually in Malibu, because it's really difficult to find doctors who are able to do an ovary-sparing spay or hysterectomy. So yeah, and in Malibu, I'm sure if you heard about that, or you probably heard about it. So there were fires in the area, the Pacific Palisades fires. So when I do go to Malibu, I will film that and take you along the ride to see how everything has changed. But so we are in February of 2025, and the fires happened in January. So they're far from rebuilding. They're still doing cleanup work. So yeah. And Julie is probably going to be in her next heat cycle in 6 months from now. And yeah, we'll see if I can get this one fixed right away. I will talk to the doctor if that's advisable or not for an ovary sparing spay. But then, yeah, basically I would have 5 females and 3 males. And I will take you along the ride, everything that we, go through as a family with 8 Corgis. It's basically just me and my 8 Corgis. I do have another YouTube channel called Fish Diary, where I talk about my aquariums. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe. And but this channel is dedicated to my Corgis. Having 8 Corgis is, I think, something unique, something very special. Very happy to be in that position, to be able to have these dogs. So I don't want to withhold that from you guys, and take you along the ride in case you want to know what it's like. But yeah, as you can see, she's already trained to go on pads. So dogs usually don't like to pee where they sleep. So that's why it's important to have a separate area. And I do have a heat mat down here that is controlled. I do have a heater for the room temperature. But now that this puppy is about 2.5 weeks old, I actually don't need to heat as much anymore, because they're more and more able to produce their own body weight. But like I said earlier, I will have a separate YouTube series regarding this puppy and all the challenges that I will be facing raising a single puppy litter. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me just round up this video by showing you all of them at once, except for this one. This one has to stay separate still because she's not vaccinated yet, but the other ones, I will show you them right now. All right, these are some of their favorite snacks. Freeze-dried beef liver from Costco. And now we see all 7 dogs at once. And sometimes what I do is I just drop it on the floor and let everyone grab one. But in this case, I'm just going to feed them one at a time. So we have Mocha. We have we have Julie, Cindy. We have Muffy, and then we have Minty. We have Bo, and we have Maple. And because Cindy is still a puppy or very young, I give her an extra one. And because Julie is still whelping, I give her more as well. And Bo is the third youngest, also the same age actually as Cindy. So they get a little bit extra. But yeah, very blessed to have all these dogs. So this has always been a dream, having having just one Corgi, but being able to have, a family of Corgis. It's just so amazing. So yeah, I hope you like this video and stay tuned for more to come, and I hope to see you next time.